So you're a brand new DM. Where do you start? Being the DM or the Dungeon Master is probably the best things that I have enjoyed playing this game. Being able to create my own world, my own stories, and my own twists, my own plots, whatever I want to throw in front of my players. I mean, that's what I get an enjoyment out of. I don't really play the player. It's been rare that I've actually, played as a player. I'm normally DMing, and that's where I'd like to be. Keep in mind, DMing is not for everyone though. There's a lot to keep track of. You have, what your players are doing, what your encounters are doing, what your monsters are doing, your NPCs. Are they going the right path? Are they not going the right path? There's a lot to look over and to keep track of as being the DM. That is just the beginning. That is just a little taste. A little taste. So let's go over some tips on being a new DM. First off, I would say don't be nervous about it. Everything that I'm saying, all these monsters, NPCs, everyone has to start somewhere. And what better time than now? If you aspire to be a fantastic DM, then the only thing to do is to start. The enjoyment for being a DM for me is how is it going to unravel? Are these players going to find the secret door? Are they going to talk to this NPC the wrong way or the right way? Just seeing how the players interact in the setting that I have put them in. And letting you know now, you can plan out this 5-hour fantastic setting and the players won't even play it. They'll run off and do something else in your homebrew world. They'll do whatever. Now, if you're playing Adventure League, it's going to be a little bit different because Adventure League is a little bit more railroaded than your homebrew will be. But you can have your players come up to the big bad boss, and you have this huge fight, this fantastic encounter that you have ready for them. Stuff is going to come flying out of the walls, there's traps, and instead they bluff or deceive the boss into becoming best friends. And you're sitting there just like, what? You never saw it coming, but it happens. Because the last thing you really want to do in your homebrew world is railroad your players and tell them, no, you can't do that. And they'll be like, why not? And the excuse that you shouldn't have is because I don't have anything written for that. You should never have that excuse. There should always be something for your players to run up and do. As the DM, you're not only the person providing the story, you're a storyteller, you're an actor. You are in control of the flow of the session. So what rules do you need to know to take that step to be a DM? I would say that you would need to know the basics. You would need to know how to do skill checks, saving throws, ability score checks. You would also need to know combat, line of sight, things of that nature. So a little bit more than the basics. Now, down the line, you're going to get to the point to where you're going to know feats and spells and how far they can do these spells and if they can do these spells and if they can use these feats at these times. But that's a little bit down the road. For now, you just need to know a little bit more than the basics. You don't need to know every single race, all their little traits and little trinkets, all the little classes, little things. You just need to know the basics. You need to be able to just run the session. Is it better to start homebrew or published? I would say as a new DM, published. Why? Because it's all written out there for you. You don't have to try to think of scenarios and encounters and like, if this is too many monsters for this, is the dynamic going to be okay for this encounter? It's already written out for you. It's published. Here you go. So yes, published. I would run a published adventure first and get to know how the published is written. Where are the hooks at? How are the NPCs interacting with the players? And then from there, you can take all these little published things that you've been reading and running in your sessions and implement that into your homebrew session once you create your own homebrew world and stuff like that. Or you might just want to go straight to homebrew. There's nothing wrong with that either. So how much prep do you need to do before a session as the DM? What you need prepped, of course, physically is, your DM screen, pen, paper, calculator, dice, miniatures. If you have those, you need to have an idea. Is this going to be theater of the mind, or are you going to use a battle map? Or are you just going to use a bunch of scrap sheet of paper that you pulled out of a notebook and keep drawing lines and putting more paper underneath it to make it bigger? Yes, I've done that. Best way. Now for the story, how much do you need prepped? You need to know, if you're doing a published, you need to really look at kind of how long are you guys going to be playing. Are you going to be sitting down for maybe just an hour, 3-4 hours? Maybe you're going to do an all-nighter. Try to distinguish how much of the story is going to be taking up that much time. I mean, you could have, 1 hour from the published book prepped, and they might only get through 1/8 of it because they're laughing and cutting up and, having a good time, doing whatever, and they're still sitting in the tavern 45 minutes later. It could be one of those sessions. Is it easier hosting for friends or Adventure League? If you're just going off the basic rules from the player's handbook and maybe you've looked at the Dungeon Master's Guide as well, that's going to correlate with a homebrew session with 5th edition, the most current at this time the video is posted D&D. Adventure League, the rules are a little bit different with XP, character advancement, magic items, the renown system that they have in it, factions. Adventure League is a little bit different. I would say it would be easier hosting homebrew with a published thing than Adventure League, because you might just host Adventure League all your life and then do a homebrew and it's completely different. Because homebrew, you're going to have to keep track of XP from each of the characters. If you're going to do encumbrance and weight, I don't really think that's a big thing in 5e as it was like in 3.5. But Adventure League, you don't have to keep track of XP, gold, what they find, because it's mundane items for Adventure League, so you just toss it out the window anyway. So in homebrew, you would have to keep track of everything. They search through this dust pile. You know, hey, you found this, this, and this. You would have to write down everything that they would find, everything that would be in possible locations. Adventure League would be easier to host, yes. But it's just a little bit different with the rules and stuff. You don't have to write down so much information. Another tip for new DM is don't make your monsters dumb. They're not dumb. They're monsters. Let them do their thing. A lot of players just look at, you know, AC, hit points, and their attack, and that's it. They'll just go from there. They'll just dump a bunch of kobolds or whatever. You know, they're smart. Make it dynamic. There's a huge description of what they can do. Their saves, they have their own stat blocks. Use that. Have them hide. Have them set up traps. Have them try to flank positions. You know, monsters are smart. Let them play like that. It'll be a much more enjoyment from your players, you know, playing this insane dynamic of creatures than just throwing monsters in there to have them hit and kill. Now, how do I find players to host? You can go on to Facebook, Reddit, meetup.com. On Facebook, go to your local gaming store and see, hey, does anyone want to play in this homebrew session? Or hey, does anyone want to go do some Adventure League sessions? Usually at your local game store, they're going to have Adventure League nights where you can go and host. Boom. There you go. Now, what materials do you need to bring to the table with you as a DM? For me personally, I like to bring extra character sheets, extra dice, pens, papers, erasers, and counters. And what I mean by counters are like something just to keep track of just random things, like little colored pieces of plastic you can get from the dollar store, or those little like crafting small little gems that you can put, like, you know, you put glue down and you put like on a frame portrait or something like that. That's what I normally bring, and a calculator, of course. Now, I feel like I'm missing some stuff as a new DM. I mean, yeah, just as a new DM, just brush up on the rules. Get familiar with the rules. If you'd like to do a published story, get familiar with the entire thing. But as a new DM, you just need to brush up on the rules. You need to, if you're doing a published story, try to at least just skim through the entire thing just to get an idea of where it should be going and who the bigger NPCs are and if they're going to play a bigger part or not. Well, I would prep maybe, you know, just a quarter of the story, of the published story. If it's a very long one, it should tell you, like, you know, this part right here should take up to so many hours. So just prep up to that point. And what I mean by prep is you can even have 3x5 cards, you know, saying like just the key points, you know, the key hooks and stuff for the story. I honestly feel like I'm forgetting some stuff. I could probably add some stuff. I may do a part 2 of this. I don't know, but I just wanted to get this out there for new DMs. Don't be nervous. Jump into it. It's not going to happen unless you actually go out there and do it. So, you guys have a good one. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will catch you guys next time.